Former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno joins me. All right, Joe, what do you think on this decision of the Colorado court?
Just when I think we can't get worse from a legal perspective. We have a civil case in New York, a fraud case with no fraud victim. We have a RICO case down in Georgia that has nothing to do with RICO. I had some hope that the first 7 cases with regard to these disqualification arguments all went in favor of Trump because they took a common sense read of what the issue is here and the 14th Amendment. There we go. Number 8 is Colorado, and others now will follow. I mean, I think saying this is questionable as to how the Supreme Court will react, I think that's giving it too much credit. I think this is laughable. I think the first-year law student can see how ridiculous this ruling is, and the fact that now other states are willing to just jump on this bandwagon, I mean, it's atrocious. I mean, where do we go from here?
It is stunning. Look, I don't care if people vote for Trump or not vote for him. It's not my job to tell people to vote, but he's got to get a fair shake. And more importantly, his supporters have to have a fair shake. You know, there are a lot of people in Colorado, apparently, who voted for him last time around, and now because of 4 justices, they've said, oh, no, you can't vote for him, even though they may want to vote for him again. Maybe they won't.
Obviously, this insurrection characterization is really important for this administration. Remember, it was tried at the impeachment level, right? Trump was impeached for inciting insurrection, but he was acquitted in the Senate, right? Then they threw it to the Justice Department, which has now spent 3 years investigating it. They have not charged him with insurrection, right? Someone has suggested—
Which is an important point. He has not— they had a full opportunity to charge him with insurrection, but did not.
I can't think it's because Jack Smith didn't want to. I'm sure he exhaustively looked at his options, and instead he patched together this combination of fraud and obstruction of Congress and some civil rights violations, which I don't think are going to stand up on appeal. That's the D.C. court, the D.C. Prosecution. And then you have, of course, the argument that, well, Congress can just vote to declare Trump an insurrectionist, but that hasn't happened. So now they're saying, well, you know what? Let's throw it to the 50 states. Let all 50 states decide what insurrection is and what it means to engage in insurrection, and let them make the decision. And what a mess.
But there's the lack of due process. I mean, and it's like, you know, that's what's stunning to me, is that there isn't a due process. At least have your shot at it.
I mean, you have a civil court in Colorado, which has now effectively called Donald Trump a criminal by saying that, well, we think he incited an insurrection, and so therefore we're going to say he's guilty of that. Where's his due process rights? Where's his presumption of innocence? I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump, but I can't help but want to defend the guy because of this complete abuse of the legal system. And it seems like just when we can't get any lower, it gets even worse.
You know, the bad thing, too, is that the politics so poised, because I'm sort of a believer in the system in terms of the courts. I'm a lawyer by background. I want to think that judges make the right decision. But then when I see that, and what really has rubbed me the wrong way is that whoever wrote that opinion of the 4, won't even put his name on it. And I thought, you know, all 4 agree, so, you know, whatever. But why don't you name the people? I mean, what are they running from? You know, what's wrong with that?
Well, here's the next catastrophe I predict. The Supreme Court will overturn this. I have no doubt about it. But if it's a split decision, if it's a 5-4 or a 6-3 with the conservatives on the U.S. Supreme Court striking this down, then the next chorus we're going to hear is that it's a partisan Supreme Court. So, and we can't even get that right. So we're just going to go from the flame to the fire here, and the political angst will continue.
That's where Chief Justice Roberts, you know, he needs to, you know, he needs to make this a decision that people can live with in this country. Joe Moreno, thank you.
Thanks, Greta.